The journey of Lyhoaica has been nothing short of remarkable. I have been following her story for a long time now, watching her evolve from a woman burdened by trauma and uncertainty to someone filled with an undeniable strength. It is hard not to feel a deep sense of admiration for her resilience. She's been through so much, yet continues to stand tall, defying the forces that try to break her. For so long, Lyhoaica was the epitome of vulnerability, torn between the fear of what was chasing her and the love she had for her child. I think back to the time when she was trapped in that dark, terrifying world, being hunted, threatened, and constantly looking over her shoulder. Yet amidst the fear and darkness, she showed us that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. When Lyhoaica was taken in by Babe and her family, I remember feeling a mix of hope and concern. Would she ever be able to recover from the years of trauma? Would she ever be able to forgive herself for the struggles she had endured? But then watching her interact with Babe, seeing how the older woman's simple kindness melted her walls, well, it was nothing short of inspiring. It was clear that Lyhoaica was still broken, still fighting an internal battle, but she was trying. And that effort made her more relatable, more human. I cannot help but be struck by the way she managed to hold herself together for the sake of her child Tony. Every sacrifice she made, every ounce of energy she put into trying to create a better life for him, reminded me of the raw power that comes from a mother's love. It was no longer just about surviving. It was about rebuilding a future. Lyhoaica's story is a testament to the strength that exists within us all, even when we think we have nothing left. As she started to find peace in Babe's home, I think we all began to see a glimmer of hope for her. She started doing simple things like cleaning and cooking again, things she had once taken for granted. These small steps were monumental. She wasn't just surviving, she was slowly finding herself again. And that, for me, was the true victory in her journey. It made me reflect on my own life, on the times I had faced struggles and felt like I couldn't go on. Lyhoaica, despite everything, found a way forward. And if she could, maybe we all could. The sting of betrayal is something that will forever be etched in my memory, especially when it comes to Lyhoaica's story. For a long time, I couldn't quite fathom the weight of what she had to endure, not just the physical dangers, but the emotional devastation. She had already been through hell, escaping the clutches of violent men, only to be betrayed by the one person she thought she could trust most, her mother-in-law. That betrayal hit her like a lightning bolt. To think that the very person who was supposed to be family, who was supposed to protect her, had been the mastermind behind the attack on her life was devastating. I felt that same shock and disbelief Lyhoaica must have felt when she learned the truth from her husband. The realization that her mother-in-law, who had always criticized her, had never truly accepted her as part of the family, was an unimaginable blow. It wasn't just the physical harm that left a scar, it was the complete and utter breakdown of trust. The one woman who should have been there for her, who should have supported her, had orchestrated the destruction of her life. The revelation left Lyhoaica feeling betrayed at a level that is difficult for most of us to comprehend. She had trusted her mother-in-law like family, and yet that trust was shattered. What made it worse was the helplessness she must have felt in the face of it. Betrayal is already painful, but betrayal by someone who you thought was your ally, your protector, cuts so much deeper. I could only imagine the feeling of having the rug pulled out from under you. Realizing that everything you had thought was true was nothing but a lie. When Hoài learned the truth, it wasn't just the attack that hurt. It was the deeper realization that her world, her very foundation, had been built on a lie. I also feel for Hung. Watching him struggle with the truth that his mother had done this to Hoài had to be heartbreaking. His guilt was palpable. He had to face not only the fact that his mother had plotted against the woman he loved, but also the consequences of his own inaction. He couldn't stop the chaos that unfolded, and that burden weighed on him heavily. For all his strength, for all the love he had for Hoài, he could not undo the damage his family had caused. That helplessness, I think, is what makes this betrayal so profound. Even when you know the truth, when you have all the evidence, there's nothing you can do to reverse the pain. Watching Hoài try to process this betrayal was heart-wrenching. She had already been through so much, and now this betrayal threatened to break her. But even in her pain, there was a glimmer of strength. She wasn't going to let this destroy her. She wasn't going to let the betrayal define her. That resilience, despite the deep emotional wound, was the thing that really stuck with me. Hoài ability to hold on to some semblance of hope after all she had lost was nothing short of inspiring. What struck me most about Hoài journey was how after everything she started to rebuild. There's something profoundly human about watching someone who has faced the worst of what life has to offer and still manages to find the strength to begin again. It's almost as if after the darkness and betrayal, she found a sliver of light, however faint. The beauty of Hoài recovery, even when her memories were clouded and her mind still a battlefield, was the way she fought to heal, not just for herself, but for her child Tony. Seeing her take those first hesitant steps toward recovery, doing mundane tasks like cleaning and helping Babe around the house, was symbolic. It wasn't about the chores themselves. It was about her finding purpose again. That's what struck me deeply. She was no longer waiting for the world to fix her, but actively participating in the healing process, bit by bit. Each act of daily life, however simple, was an assertion of control, a way for her to say, "I am still here. I will not let this defeat me." That's the kind of courage that isn't often celebrated, but it's the most powerful kind. It made me reflect on my own life, on the things that I take for granted. Sometimes it's easy to forget that in the smallest of actions, there can be immense strength. Hoài ability to rebuild herself through her connection with Babe and Ha was a reminder that even in the quietest moments, there is the possibility for healing. She wasn't just healing physically from the wounds that the criminals inflicted on her, but emotionally and mentally from the trauma of betrayal, from years of being told she was unworthy. I couldn't help but feel moved by the tenderness with which Ha treated her. While she was still struggling with memory loss, there was something comforting in the way he didn't push her to remember. Instead, he let her move at her own pace, guiding her gently through each moment. His patience and care were like a balm to her wounded spirit. Their shared time in the garden, in the peaceful rhythm of life, offered Hoài a sense of stability she hadn't known before. It was through this slow, steady journey that she began to reconnect with herself, slowly pushing aside the shadows of her past. And in a way, she was rediscovering her sense of worth, one quiet moment at a time. Babe too played a huge role in Hoài recovery. Her quiet wisdom, Her ability to care without overwhelming became the foundation Hoài could lean on. It wasn't grand gestures. It was in the way Ba Be made her feel safe, at home, loved. For the first time in what must have felt like forever, Hoài had a sense of belonging. And that sense of safety allowed her to open up to begin trusting again. That's the magic of community, of having people around you who care deeply, who see your worth, even when you can't see it yourself. Watching Hoài learn to trust, to let herself feel the warmth of the relationships around her, was a beautiful thing to witness. For the audience, it was as though we were part of her journey, experiencing every emotional hurdle alongside her. With each step she took towards recovery, there was a sense of triumph. And just as importantly, it reminded me of the power of second chances, not just for the people who hurt us, but for ourselves. Hoài healing wasn't linear, nor was it easy, but the fact that she was willing to try, willing to embrace a future that was still unknown, is what truly touched me. The final chapter of Hoài journey is one of renewal, not just for her, but for those around her. Watching her slowly emerge from the shadows of her painful past and into a future filled with hope has been a powerful experience. This chapter, filled with moments of quiet but profound change, has cemented my understanding of how transformative love and community can be in the process of healing. Hoài newfound sense of peace, despite the chaos of her past, shows that recovery isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about finding a way to live beyond it, to continue moving forward with purpose. What struck me most as I watched Hoài reconnect with her life was her ability to forgive not just the people who betrayed her, but herself. That's something many of us struggle with. The weight of guilt, the feeling that we haven't done enough, or that we've somehow failed. Hoài ability to slowly relinquish that guilt and give herself permission to heal was a lesson in the power of self-compassion. She allowed herself to be vulnerable again, to accept help from others, and in turn, it opened the door for her to rediscover joy and hope. As I observed Hoài interacting with Haya and Ba Be, I saw how her relationship with them gradually shifted. It was no longer just about surviving. She was beginning to thrive. Her connection with Ha, which had once been a delicate balance of caring for one another amidst shared pain, began to evolve. The healing was no longer just about physical recovery. It was about building something new together. This was more than a partnership. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit when fueled by love and understanding. But the most significant moment for me as an audience member was when Hoài finally began to accept that her future could be different from her past. There's something incredibly powerful about realizing that you don't have to be defined by your trauma. Hoài journey is a reminder that no matter how difficult our past may have been, the future holds infinite possibilities for reinvention. She had faced so much, and yet in the end, she chose to move forward, not with bitterness, but with strength and openness. The turning point in her story wasn't just the healing of her wounds, it was the acceptance of a new beginning. She wasn't holding on to the past anymore. Instead, she was embracing a future that could be full of love, hope, and renewal. This new chapter was not easy for Hoài, and she still has a long road ahead of her. But the fact that she could see the possibility of something better, that she could trust herself enough to rebuild, was a beautiful conclusion to her story. Her journey teaches us an invaluable lesson. Healing isn't linear, and it doesn't look the same for everyone. Sometimes the road to recovery requires us to find the right people, the right environment, and the right mindset. It teaches us that we are all capable of rebuilding, no matter how broken we may feel. Lyhoaica's story is a testament to the strength we all carry within us, to rise from the ashes, even when we think there's nothing left.
Nhưng khoảnh khắc quan trọng nhất đối với tôi, với tư cách là khán giả, là khi Hoài cuối cùng cũng bắt đầu chấp nhận rằng tương lai của cô có thể khác với quá khứ. Có điều gì đó vô cùng mạnh mẽ khi nhận ra rằng bạn không cần phải tự định nghĩa bởi chấn thương của mình. Hành trình của Hoài là lời nhắc rằng dù quá khứ của chúng ta có khó khăn đến đâu, tương lai vẫn có vô số khả năng để tái tạo. Cô đã phải đối mặt với rất nhiều điều, nhưng cuối cùng cô đã chọn tiến lên về phía trước, không phải vì sợ cay đắng mà là với sức mạnh và sự cởi mở. Điểm bước ngoặt trong câu chuyện của cô không chỉ là việc chữa lành vết thương của cô mà còn sự chấp nhận một sự khởi đầu mới. Cô không còn níu kéo quá khứ nữa, thay vào đó cô đang nắm tay một tương lai có thể tràn đầy tình yêu, hy vọng và sự đổi mới. Chương mới này không hề dễ dàng đối với Hoài và cô vẫn còn một chặng đường dài phía trước, nhưng thực tế là cô có thể nhìn thấy khả năng có điều gì đó tốt, đẹp hơn, và rằng cô có thể tin tưởng bản thân đủ để xây dựng lại. Đó là một kết thúc đẹp cho câu chuyện của cô.